Hi, I'm Anthony and I'm in 10th grade and I'll be reading A Love Letter to My Sisters on page 12. Haha, remember this. It's 3 a.m. We're giggling so hard. We're terrified Mom's gonna come out and open up a can of beans because she's hungry, obviously. You've got breadcrumbs on your pajamas and Nutella on your chin. What are you talking about? I do not have hot sauce on my shirt. Okay, maybe I do. Shh, she's sleeping. I wonder what she's dreaming about. Oh, look, she just twitched. It's a Friday night. We're not even watching TV because we don't need to. We have each other. What do you mean my face makes your eyes more tired than watching TV? Rude. Oh wow, look at this. It's almost 7 a.m. at the start of the summer. It's hecka hot in this rinky-dink room, but we cram in here anyway, smacking each other with pillows. I don't even know who's true on touching. We haven't slept for 2 days, but Mom's so gonna kill us. But it's summer break, and we're having a 3-month-long sleepover, so maybe she won't mind. There are cookie crumbs in between the cushions that the cats will find. Popsicle remains with sugary syrup still stuck to the stick, and Sour Patch Kids that are somehow still coming out of my blanket. And, oh, dude, gross. Is that one bag of Takis that I'm missing at the stuff? Yeah. Girls, look, it's you, and me, and you. Wow, that's us. Look at your hair. Look at mine. Look at our clothes. What exactly was going through our minds? We look so ridiculous. We look so amazing. We look pretty damn fine. The boys in BTS will marry us, all of us, and all at the same time. That doesn't make sense. There's 7 of them and 3 of you. Dad, you know what? Nobody asked you. I really hope you know when we all go our separate ways, when One Direction makes a comeback, I'm coming over to your house with 3 big boxes of Kleenex, and we're staying up all night until we see the sun. I also want you to know that even when you get old and crusty, I'm your older sister, and I will always be crustier than you, so I can still tell you what to do. Guys are gonna have to go through me if they want to get to my baby sisters. He's got a doctorate? That's nice. He still hasn't passed my exams. If he doesn't have an I survived my potential sister-in-law shirt by the end of it, he ain't got no jams. That was both a joke that no one but you will get and a desperate need to rhyme. Long story short, basically, to sum up, you guys are my everything. Yeah, I get mad at you when you leave your clothes on the bathroom floor, when you leave post-it notes with Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good all over my room, when you use my hairbrush and Rainbow Dash's hair gets stuck in the bristles. But you're my baby sister, so no one will ever know more. Ugh, now I'm getting emotional and teary. After this thing is done, just come here to me. Just give me a hug and don't let go. Don't forget that your big sister will always be here for you. She'll always protect you. This won't rhyme, but screw it, I just want you to promise me. Don't forget all those nights dancing on the couch to K-pop. Baking cookies so sweet, they might as well be diabetes, and falling asleep on top of each other on those car rides to nowhere. Please don't forget that even if you don't love yourself, I love you. I love you more than you will ever know. Promise me that you won't forget all those days and nights. Promise me that even if you do, you will never forget how much I love you.
The wedding on page 19. One day, Betty and Jim were taking a hike and they got lost in some abandoned woods. The woods had old washers and dryers, an old stereo, and a very old house. Betty and Jim could not find a way to get out of the abandoned woods. The woods were dirty. There were branches everywhere and boxes. Betty and Jim were very scared of the abandoned village just because of the way it was. They were calling for help and nobody helped them. They had to find a way out because the next day Betty and Jim were getting married. They didn't want to miss their wedding, so Betty and Jim had stayed overnight in the woods. The next day a weird-looking man came to the abandoned woods and helped Betty and Jim by the woods. Then Betty and Jim went to go get married and they were at the wedding, they told everybody how they got stuck in some abandoned woods. Everybody was laughing and having an amazing time.
My name is Anthony. I will be reading What is in My Room on page 22. What is in my room? A bed with no frame, a small TV on a big table, recliner to sit on, a plastic dresser behind the recliner. Stuffed animals to remind me of the people I've lost and people I've left. A pile of games next to my console, webs that resemble my laziness and or my carelessness of what might be living in here with me. Posters of games, a good movies and favorite games, and a picture of a friend that I no longer talk to. A baseball bat to remind me of the first sport I've ever played. A plastic bin in my closet holding memories, some good and some not so good. What's in my room? Nothing but memories of coincidence.
Hi, my name is Brandon Dells, and I'll be reading Mom on page 29. My mom taught me a lot of things that I'll never, like never backing down from a challenge. to leave when the drama outweighs the good, to go for anything you deserve. Staying strong while still remaining kind, but most importantly, to pick up the pieces and start fresh, because you're so much stronger than you think you are.
I'm going to be reading at the writing table. At this table, the writing table, pens and pencils move, lead marking pages of paper, papers flipping through each other. More and more flows words, sentences, paragraphs. Then there are keys printing inside a screen. Imagination and memories take and play their role in everyone's minds. Different stories are shared, all great, with different styles never heard before. Different emotions, different imagination, different memories. At this table, the writing table, the stories can fill mountains of books, but some may never be published and some will only appear. My name is Emily Johnson, and I will be reading Speak on page 46. Speak. Tomorrow is too late, now or never, might as well. Well, maybe I'm here. I'm here and I can't piece together my thoughts. Thoughts like, I'll die alone and I'll never be good enough. Well, I am good enough. Enough to devour your love that ends up consuming me instead. Instead, I try to fight it, fighting, trying not to fall. Well, I fell, harder than I ever have before. Before you, it was dark. Dark like the nights without a moon. The moon that tells me anything. Anything can happen. It's happening right now. Now I can think about you. I feel warm. I can say I love you, and I mean it. Tomorrow's too late, now or never. So, I'll say it now. Now I'll find the words to explain all the things I want to tell you. You are my world, my moon, and stars that tell me to speak.
My name is Manny Martinez, and I'm going to be reading something that is not in the book. It's been a very long 9 months. Tons of changes and a lot of stress. Lots of nail-biting thoughts. Wanting to find the truth within myself, but it hasn't been easy. And recently, I've been watching my world crash around me as I slowly lose myself within my own head. The surreal feeling of loneliness crashes down on the depths of my oversized life ticker. Hugging someone and feeling the light fade from both of your hearts can really tear you at the core. Wanting to know what's going through the mind of the person you're looking at while they're looking at you can make seconds feel like hours. Being okay with it because you wanted to spend more time with them anyways, it hurts not being accepted for who you are. The pain you feel in that why wasn't I good enough mindset can emotionally kill you. The normal distractions no longer work and the constant interruptions from this chest-shattering pain is nauseating. Unready to let go. Telling myself the only reason you won't let go of what's making you sad is because it's the only thing that made you happy. Wondering where I go wrong. Wondering how I could ever misplace my heart. Barriers are broken only to be replaced as they continue to disregard my thoughts and feelings. I try as they give up. I start to misunderstand my own words. I hate removing a photo that then meant so much. I've never pre-written so many texts in my notes just to delete them all. They seem to want the head, but have never seemed to care about the thoughts. I'm scared to look at someone and realize that I feel more in love with the memories than the person standing in front of me. The more I write my thoughts and feelings down and fill my room with crumbled up pieces of paper, the more I question them myself, such as, why am I so lost and what do I do? I find myself self-aware. You are what you say and I'm not happy, but I want to be. Hearing the laugh of someone close to you can be so curing. When your pain becomes invalid in the minds of those around you, it's hard to pick up, but it grows to be worth it. Even when you're lost and empty to the purest part of your core, there's a way out. There's always a way to find that inner peace that no longer sustains your happiness. Even when that you once lived in, that then felt so homely, is no longer around.
I'm Ethan, and I'm going to be reading a short story called The Typewriter. It's on page 56 if you want to read along, but I made a few edits, so... That morning, the rain fell at an incoherent slant. A swirling mass of clouds seethed above it all, and the air was heavy, the waves fierce. The house overlooked it all, and the man saw the ocean from where he stood on the deck. The house was paneled with dark wood, and the deck enclosed by fencing with glass panes. The man was tired. He rubbed his eyes. In the warm kitchen, he poured himself coffee and took 3 pills. The mist was suffocating. He put milk in his coffee. The house was cold, the typewriter lonely. The man shivered and he went to the doors which led to the deck and closed them. A log was in the fireplace, and so he started a small fire which grew until it bled warmth. He had not showered in 3 weeks, and he had grown accustomed to wallowing in his own filth because it was what he deserved. The landscape surrounding the house was blanketed in quiet isolation, and there were few other houses for miles. 5 or 6 houses, the tall grass, the animals, and the trees. He did not write at all during the day, and when the night came, he saw the stars. Make small the old star-eaten blanket of the sky, that I may fold it round me and in comfort lie, he said to himself. He said to no one but himself and the stars. He rarely spoke aloud, but when he did, he often spoke in lines of poetry which he remembered from the days before. The sky brought down upon him many memories, and so he had spoken out of reverence a line of poetry by T.E. Hole. He became cold and returned to the house, and poured himself a rum St. James and drank it down and had another. The typewriter remained untouched in the night. The house sat on a cliff, and below it stretched a wind-swept beach, little bits of driftwood strewn treacherously about, and large rocks protruding from the sand at precarious intervals. The nights became violent, and the tide would strike the cliffs with malice, and the man would be unable to sleep. When sleep finally came, he would dream of the waves crashing down, and he would wake up and the bed would be wet, but it was usually his own sweat or urine. Most mornings, the man would wake and walk to the window and look out, but he could not open the window. It was always stuck. He would then go to the typewriter and sit down in the chair at the desk and put his fingers on the keys and think about writing. But his fingers would not move, and the words would not write themselves. After sitting this way for an hour, the man would get up and put coffee on and go out on the deck and smell the air. Seagulls would cry, and the long blades of grass would whisper. The man would go inside and take 3 pills and drink coffee with milk in it, and then he would begin his day. For the man, the hours between morning and the next morning were a blur. There were nights when the man felt so alone that the silence seemed to pervade his very soul. The isolation the man felt had followed him here. It was not because of this place. He could recall times in the days long ago when he had written books and people had been all around and he had still felt alone. That was when the drinking had begun. The man had been staying here for 38 days. On the 38th morning, he sat up and got out of bed and went to the window, and this time was able to open it a little before it wouldn't budge and the salty air filled his nostrils. He went to his typewriter and set his fingers on the keys as he had done every day before this, and he typed a sentence. It was a beautiful sentence, and the words came roaring out of him. The sound the typewriter made as he wrote was music flowing straight to the ink, imprinting its melody on the page. He wrote through the day and into the night, and when it was dark outside, he stood from his work and went to the kitchen and poured a glass of rum St. James and went outside to the deck. The ocean was calmer today than in the last weeks, and the man rested there on the deck. 3 deer stood in the tall grass near the edge of the cliff. A buck, a fawn, another buck. They might have been ghosts, only their silhouettes were visible against the early nighttime sky. One buck turned its head and stared at the man, and after a moment the other 2 did the same. The fawn stood between the other 2 in perfect symmetry. And then they all turned away from the man and began to walk, and the man watched as they threw themselves over the edge of the cliff, one after the other after the other. The next day, the man finished the manuscript, and it was good, so he took it to the post office to be mailed to his sister, who lived in Los Angeles. That night, he did not go out on the deck as usual. He instead hiked down to the beach and stretched out on the sand and looked up at the sky. He stayed like that for a while, and then went back to the house and drank a glass of cool, clear water and slipped into bed. He awoke before sunrise and got out of bed and went to the window and found that it now opened easily, and he smiled. He drank a cup of hot black coffee and allowed himself to savor its taste and its smell. He went to his typewriter and kissed it. He flung open the doors and saw the fine line of bright light edging over the horizon, and he went out and hiked down to the beach as the sun began to emerge. The man took off his shoes and felt the sand on his feet and was at peace. Liquid gold floated atop the still water as he walked toward the rising sun. He felt the water on his feet, and he walked on, into the water, into the light. I just wanted to add that that was an homage to Ernest Hemingway.
Alright, first, my name is Gianna Burka in the book, but my full name, I'm not going to say. Okay, it's You Bring Out the Chaos in Me. You bring out the chaos. Oh, can I do two? Okay, I just wanted to ask that before I go. So, first one I'm going to do You Bring Out the Chaos in Me. Second one is You Are. Okay. You bring out the chaos in me, the wanting of havoc and war, the training so hard I can barely breathe or move in me, the puissance, a thrilling of wanting power and strength in me. But you also bring out the jokester in me, the fun in me. When we're on break with the guys, you bring out the humor in me for being serious all the time. And sometimes you bring out the sadness in me for being apart so long because of war. The tears, when we reunited, I can barely stand. My best friend, my rival, my love, my longing. You bring out the chaos of emotions in me. Okay. And you are as beautiful as a violet, as strange as a black, as mysterious as a plum. But we all know where you come from. The imagination deep inside. An imagination that can go from so big to so small in just a matter of seconds. Writing emotions and ideas on a blank page, a pen or a pencil that gracefully strides your page and leaves a trace of yourself for who you are or will become.
My name is Iris Falcon. I'm in the 10th grade, and today I'll be reading Green Eyes on page 71. September 19th, 1950. It had been a while ever since I've seen my brother. That was before World War II ended. I'll never forget him waving goodbye to us at the train station. He wore his olive green military suit that matched his teary green eyes. The sun was shining bright and there wasn't a single cloud in the sky. A perfect day to hug your brother goodbye, right? And that was it. 1938 was the last time I'd seen him. My family never got a letter that he was killed in battle yet. He never arrived home either. That's why I'm here in Harlem, the only place that he would ever love to call his second home. That first night, I walked down the nearly empty streets as the sun went to sleep behind the vast buildings throughout the city. I wondered why he never came back home. Stopped him from coming back, if he was even alive. And then I heard a distinct sound. A trumpet blared nearby, and an angelic voice followed. I looked around and blue lights caught my eye. Cotton Club, I muttered to myself. Might as well take a break. I quickly ran across the street and peered through the club's open door. Men and women nicely dressed danced with drinks in their hands to the jazz music that evoked youth. I stepped inside, took my hat off, then a servant greeted me. Well, hello there, sugar. Take a seat. The singer tonight is Zara Long, and Duke Ellington's infamous jazz band joins her. There was no going back now. The smell of alcohol and cigarettes was strong from the club. I looked at the stage and now saw the woman behind the angelic voice, Sarah Vaughan. Strikingly beautiful she was, in a long ruby red dress that matched her lips. The band behind her played the most intriguing jazz I had ever heard. The beats of the drum, the deep hums of the bass, and the blaring trumpet forced me to tell my tale. The servant who greeted me came back with a silver platter and a drink. Enjoy your night, she said with a smile before the I looked back at the stage, then at the people dancing. I sipped my drink, though it was too strong for my taste. I was planning to leave. Men wore tailored suits, while women wore shimmering headbands and long gowns, dancing with anyone within reach. I finished my drink and started to reach in my pocket for change until I made eyes with the dancing woman. I could tell she was smiling at me through the club. Though the club was dimly lit in the orange heat, she bounced away to my table and happily asked, "Want to dance?" She wore a golden headband that glistened brightly like a star. I kindly said no, but she still insisted and dragged me out of my seat. She put her hand on my shoulder and we started dancing to the beat of the music. Soon I was lost in a crowd of dancers and jazz. The singing seemed to get louder and louder as I danced with the golden woman. Through the club's windows I saw a shadow walk the ground. For some reason my instinct must have been. I looked at the golden woman who now had a skeptical face and told her, "I'm sorry, miss, I have to go." I terribly danced my way through the crowd, dug into my pocket and left money on the table. I heard the golden woman call out, "Wait," but I had already stepped on it. I put my hat back on and looked at the direction that the shadow had left. Started quickly walking that way. It was pitch black outside besides the illuminating blue lights from the club sign and occasional streetlights. I shoved past people who were now entering the club and tried to catch sight of the shadow. I saw saw not too far away. I started to run down the sidewalk, which was now starting to get busy with people, to try and catch the shadow. It turned a corner and I picked up the pace. Please don't be gone, I thought to myself. As soon as I turned the corner, I saw a well-dressed man get into a black 1935 Dodge that was parked on the side of the street. I quickly walked up behind him and tapped his shoulder. He spun around immediately. The street was now deadly silent as I stared into grim mysterious house. It was my brother.
Hello, my name is Catherine Sharp, but just call me Katie. I don't like Catherine. I will be reading Just Because on page 80. I'm very proud of it. Just because I grin doesn't mean I'm happy. On the inside, I cry. Just because I'm cheerful doesn't mean I'm positive. I am doubtful, and I am negative before I am positive. Just because I'm easily shattered doesn't mean I don't recover. I fixed myself for my loved ones so they don't lose me. Just because I'm a coward doesn't mean I'm frightened. I'm great on stage and I love to talk. Just because I'm rash doesn't imply I'm rude or mean. I'm kind and gentle and I love to help. Just because I'm distracted doesn't mean I'm mentally ill. I have an intimacy with daydreaming and being creative. Just because I get cross doesn't mean I'm depressed. I'm full of hope and love to make friends. Just because I say I'm wonderful doesn't mean I am. I need you because I love you.
Hi, my name is Kazai Foster and I will be reading family photos on page 84 in this. Dear family photos, you have captured so many moments, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, me. Moments like my great-grandpa Ben Jack and my great-uncle standing by the cottonwood grove in their house. My aunts and their husbands, my grandpa when he was a driller, great-grandma Corrine and her descendants. You have witnessed my family grow up and proudly displayed. Thank you for standing witness to my diaper day woes, the days when I consider myself a big girl, looking grown with my first real purse. Thank you for proving that, yes, your papa was once a baby too. You watched me go from a revolutionary baby with tiny fists and a big fro to a girl hurting to change the world. You have captured the loving moments like my aunt and uncle posing with my younger sister and my great uncle playing with my cousin. You stand a reminder of those gone, a gentle whisper, yes, they did exist. Remember their names and put faces to them. You have seen my family in all our many hues and backgrounds and stories. Only you are privy to the details of our existence when we are gone. You have portrayed the slow unfolding of my family's lives. You have shown the blossoming of life, the stages of love, and the test of time. You hang on walls and lie in photo books, wait in bins and boxes. You exist to show, to remind, to remember. Thank you for leaving a mark, for reminding our hearts, minds, and the world. Yes, it happened. Yes, they existed. Once upon a time and before you were thought of. Signed, Keziah. So the second one is, it starts here on page 89. Perhaps life starts here at this table where we write, where we gather our ashes and scatter them on pages, where we learn that words can bring us to tears. And it's okay to share our heartbreak and joy. Perhaps life ends here. Here we journey forth as renewed spirits with lighter steps and heavier notebooks. At this table, in these chairs, where our hands shake with feelings barely contained, in the pens and pencils we drag across the page and the keys we tap, for one story never really ends. Hi, my name is Mariah Foster. I'm in the 9th grade. I will be reading, I'll be reading 2 things today, but first I'm going to be reading Sorry Almost on page 102. Trying is never really doing, close is never really there, and almost is never really enough. But I tried, I was close, and I was almost there. Sorry is all I can say, and I know sorry can't fix a broken plate, just like it can't fix a shattered heart. But what else am I to say? Sorry, because sorry eases my conscience. Sorry lightens the impact of all the excuses I'm going to throw at you. Excuses that will be uttered in a desperate attempt to relieve myself of some of the guilt while simultaneously trying. I'm trying, but I'm not really getting it, am I? I'm sorry, there's no excuse, but also, I almost, I'm sorry. Now I'll be reading Smoothie on page 103. Little sister, hunger finally gets the best of me. I surrender and drag myself off the couch, pause my show and hurry to the kitchen. Fueled by hunger, I stare at the contents of the refrigerator. There's nothing to lease, or at least nothing pre-prepared. I'm not lazy, just too hungry to function long enough to cook something. I could faint from fatigue. Upon finding nothing, I peer into the freezer longingly. A bag of frozen fruit catches my eye. In a burst of hungry desperation, I grab the new blender and dump nearly half the frozen berry mix into it. This isn't nearly enough for a decent smoothie. I collect bananas, milk, and yogurt. Eyeballing the measurements, I add them till my ancestors say that's enough, child. My mouth waters as I slap the lid on the blender and press the go button. To fire it up, letting it run until there aren't any chunks left. I pour it in a cup and take a much-needed sip. The fruit almost immediately eases my hunger. Sipping the pulverized fruit, I pass my sister in the hall. She stares at my cup as I return to my show. I hope she didn't expect me to make her something to eat. Older sister. Bored and with nothing to do, I lay in bed meditating while staring at the spot on the wall. My little sister has the TV turned up nearly a full volume and is watching her Glitter Freak show. Suddenly the show stops. Thank God for this much-needed silence. I settle back into a half-conscious state, enjoying the silence, till the sound of a blender interrupts my trance. I wonder what's being made. Leisurely, I stroll down the hall to see my little sister, hurrying back to the TV, a big cup in her hand, pulled to the top of her smoothie. I go in the kitchen and look around, only to realize she didn't leave any for me. I sigh aloud. Nowadays, the children are so rude, just selfish, and she didn't even clean up her mess. I'm sitting chilling with my fam, literally chilling when I feel the whole house begin to shake. The jolting lasts a few minutes before my family begins to topple out. I fall out with them, landing on top of the heap. We're in a new home, but smaller with transparent walls. It's not that bad, but something sharp is poking me. Before I can get comfy, a decapitated banana falls on top of me. We all begin to panic, but our screams are muffled under milk and yogurt. I feel a rumbling. I begin to spin, and my family screams. And that's not all of it, but
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nasir Sims. I'm in the 11th grade, and I will be reading The Getaway, which is on page 113. Later at school, I am rushing out of the lunchroom to the three huge boys chasing me. Yeah, I just started a riot. It started like an ordinary day, finding my classes, hanging out with my friends, being the quietest kid in high school. Oh, by the way, the name's Amir Mujahid. As I am heading to one of my classes for the introduction orientation, I feel a gust of icy wind on my bare neck. I turn around to look to see who or what caused the feeling of coldness, and when I see the mysterious person who used his mystical powers to make me notice, I'm shocked when I hear a familiar voice. It's Chad, the bully who ended up getting me sent to the school nurse with a bloody nose, a bruise the size of a speed bump, and the main target of being picked on by everyone back in the 3rd grade. I asked my parents multiple times to have me switch schools, but apparently they didn't want me to end up being a dropout. One day in 5th grade, while I was getting my lunch, Chad tripped me and my lunch toppled on the floor. I felt like the whole cafeteria was laughing at me. Instead of running away like I always did, I got up, brushed the pieces of food that got on my clothes, and stood up to the monster. I'm tired of you treating me like a little kid, and I won't allow it no more. Ooh, I'm so scared, teased Chad. Enough was enough. I grabbed a plate of mashed potatoes off the lunch tray and threw it at him. Luckily, the potato smashed to his face, which made everyone burst into tears of laughter. Well, all that laughing made him really angry. Well, it seems that little dork decided to approach me, says Chad. He started to walk slowly toward me, and I decided it was time to escape. I would have escaped a lot sooner if someone hadn't thrown something on the floor while I was paying attention. When you try to back away and a banana peel appears right in front of you, it can make you look pretty stupid. But I guess this leftover peel made me a hero because when I slipped on his skin, I managed to turn around and give Chad one good blow that made me fall down unconscious. I turned around and everyone in the cafeteria was either clapping or cheering for me. Ever since that day, I was never picked on again. Well, until today. Yeah, I might one last time, but this time I come with revenge, roars the mysterious person. Oh, what I meant to say is the mysterious person turned out to be the bully, aka Chad Iverson. He stops off one way to find his classes while I walk the other way into the classroom. Now I'm stuck in high school with this jerk for the next 3 years. When lunchtime comes around, I am parched like I am in a desert and I need water. When I approach the lunch line, Chad and a couple of his friends are standing right by the restrooms, bullying boys with the height of 5'4" and forcing them to give up their lunch money. It isn't long before Chad notices me and stops me in my tracks while I'm leaving the area. Give me your lunch money and I won't have to give you a beating, he roars. The only thing that's getting the beating is that breath of yours, I yell. Well, that one insult made him angry. Chad and his goons thrust ahead toward me like bulls. One thing he doesn't know, that I'm number 1 in track and I did love parkour. I dodged their attack and made them trip towards a trash can. That one little move transforms the whole lunchroom into a boxing ring with everyone staring at me and Chad. Apparently, I'm not leaving the cafeteria unless I come out fighting, which is probably kind of the worst thing to be a part of right now. Unfortunately, I daydream for like a whole minute before I am brought back by getting pushed into the cafeteria doors. Chad grabs my shirt and starts to charge his fist backs, which means I only have 5 seconds before I end up like how I did in 3rd grade. I threw my right fist towards him before he throws his at me and kicks his stomach. Chad grows with pains and falls into the floor. In your face, I say as I get up and run away. Since Chad needed a few minutes to recover, he sends his goon to chase after me. I threw garbage cans to slow him down, which means to work because I turn around and see them slip on piles of trash. I'm stuck by the bell and students crowded the previously empty hallway. Excuse me, I say as I rush through the traffic jam. I turn around and Chad and his goons aren't behind me, which is a pretty good sign. But I turn the corner to leave the area. Somehow Chad manages to cut through the gym to beat me. It's over for you, little kid, says Chad. One thing I don't like being called is a little kid. Go ahead, hit me, I said to Chad. I guess something is working because the 3 bullies are backing away from me. Go ahead and hit me, I repeat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I'm just gonna leave, says Chad. I can't believe my eyes as I watch the bullies leave me. I defeated Chad without even trying.
Hello, my name is Shelby Pinkston. I'll be reading 2 pieces. The first one is called Anatomy of a Panic. It's on page 118 if you want to read along. Do I sound okay? Okay. 1. Show me the colors beyond all this red. What will it take to become bigger than this? To have a tongue behind all these teeth? How many times do I have to bury my body before it's dead? There's no right words for this. The thing about violence is that the world starts to bleed into the same shades. You stop seeing your hands as anything more than fists. I'd like to meet your father. I'd like to make him cry. Somebody said safe, and I think they meant it this time. Imagine that, like all we'd ever need is our open mouths and the soft things we cut up inside of them. In the next world, I hope for something simple like that. Like, here's my throat, here's my wrists, I love you, I'm too small to know what it all means, but what if there was never really any danger? 2. The man soldiers himself down to the river to forget what he did, but he never expects to be saved from it. In the warmth of the water, he tells me he can't remember how to be anything other than drowning. I dreamt that he died like that. I dreamt that he dragged me down with him. The man says if you want the bad thing out, you've got to be willing to die for it first. There's so much I have left to tell you about that. 4. The moth knows what it's doing. Anything that is erythral, I want it to swallow me. I want to be so consumed by a bright light that it becomes me. The romance of the past is often cruel. It is not a love, but a seductive nostalgia. I would rather be never touched by you again than ever. I would rather never be touched again than ever let you lay your hands on me. 5. Drunk, you fold over my body and call it an act of God. This instilling sense of tragedy is the only survivable art form. I dreamt of you the other day, shifting through the gradually yellowing sunlight. Only finite in the empty space of stars. You're still out there somewhere. And then my second one, which I promise is much shorter, is Self-Portrait as a Grusmore, which is on 120 if you want to read along again. Say this infiltration is the least violent act. To find someone to love is a point of no return. Olivia rose at morning and unshut the world just to let me see it. Even the guns will turn on us soon. All of the self resolves to go back. The body remembers its birth as a strangled fit of gore. What thing of not nature could replicate that? I want it to be ugly. Olivia jokes that if she were a mason jar, I'd be the first surface she'd smash herself on. That meant something real to me. The eulogy is just a prelude for what begins. The sun will set on another Rome. Love splits the apple to find the seed. The center of everything will be a lot like that. Me kicked your dog like a front door, and you so kind enough to let me in. Thank you.
I'm going to be reading on page 125. This is the worst pigsty. So growing up, apparently my mother was an expert on pigsties because she would always say when she came into my bedroom, "This is the worst pigsty I've ever seen." Now, I grew up on a ranch, but we didn't have any pigs, so I'm not sure how she became such an expert in pigsties and which pigsties she was comparing my room to. Certainly, we'd seen pigsties at other ranches, but I don't remember many of them, and I didn't realize she was ranking them each time and then comparing them to her teenage son's bedroom. Let's see, this one's filled with mud and slop and such. Very sloppy, but I think my son's is still the worst. Now, unquestionably, my room was a mess. Not unusual for a young teenage boy, but I didn't really feel it qualified as a pigsty. And even if so, certainly wasn't the worst. I think maybe she just hadn't seen a large variety of pigsties. Maybe the pigsties she had seen were home to exceptionally clean pigs. Or maybe the ranchers had a cleanliness obsession and cleaned their pigsties continually. Now, if I had someone cleaning my pigsty all the time, I'm sure it would be one of the cleanest pigsties she'd ever seen. And those pigs even clean their own pigsties? I think not. I at least clean mine on occasion, usually as a result of threats of restriction or no TV or whatever was unmotivating to a 13-year-old boy. Regardless of this reason, I did periodically clean my own pigsty. Now that I think about it, I think my pigsty was shortchanged. I feel it was really one of the better pigsties out there. There were clothes strewn about, but that made it easier to grab something to wear from any spot in the room. And the newspapers and the magazines, plenty of reading material within arm's reach. And the toys. Oh, the glorious toys and games covering every inch of the room. I can't think of a better pigsty.
So, this is a poem or a verse or something, I don't know quite what to call it, that we write usually, I think each year or semester, on the last day of class. And it is called I Leave Here With. I leave here with a few poems, always a surprise because I am no poet and I know it. A baker's dozen 6-word memoirs, that's 13, and 12 of them tell me that I'm trying to do too much for too many people. A scathing letter to 2 former employees who poisoned our office culture. A few scenes of my novel Always in Progress about a pregnant woman whose unborn baby might be dead, her stiff-necked husband who knows he stole something but doesn't know how broke he is, and a pile of secrets that they're keeping from each other. A couple of silly, part true, mostly not, pieces about people doing dumb things. Good thing we consider everything fiction in here. Another paragraph about riding a new bike down a hill and crashing into a bush. Wait, correction. Another paragraph about riding a shiny new red Stingray down a steep, shrub-strewn goat path in the Swiss Alps, legs and arms outstretched, wind screaming through my fog-frizzed hair, until coming to an abrupt, tire-smoking halt against a blackberry bush laced with tiny, vicious thorns. I leave here with a desire to keep going, keep writing. Summer's coming. Summer writing project, same as last summer's, and the summer before's, and the summer before that's. Finish that first draft. Hope springs eternal.
Hello. My name is Kristen Wetzel. It's weird. Okay, so I'll be reading the very last piece in the book called Les Chapeaux, which in French is the hats. So this comes from a prompt that we do that's a lot of fun called the Writer's Toolbox. And it's a game, but we've kind of deconstructed the game and use it as we see fit in the classroom. So it's little popsicle sticks with different little prompts on them, and you get little cards, and you have to flip them over at certain points, and nobody knows what's on there, and you have to work whatever's on there into your story. And everybody comes up with the wackiest ideas, and it's fun to see who else gets the same popsicle sticks as you and how they took that story in one direction. So this is what I came up with, and it's a little weird. I like hats. That's what Donald said the day before he killed Sally. Sally did not like hats. She felt that they flattened her hair, and that for the rest of the day she had what she referred to as hat head. Donald had a vast collection of hats, ranging from antique top hats and bowlers to more modern baseball caps. Each hat was taken from a person Donald had killed. Some serial killers leave something behind, a calling card, if you will. Donald took something instead, a hat. His victims were targeted for this unique purpose, and they usually had so many hats that no one noticed if one was missing. Donald worked with Sally at Home Depot. He did not like her. She was loud and crass and had often ridiculed Donald for his choice in hatwear. This, Donald reasoned, could not stand. Donald stood at the end of aisle 7 at Home Depot spying on Sally. His shift was ending soon. His reverie was interrupted by the sound of Marcy's feet coming to stand beside him. Marcy was Donald's only friend at Home Depot. Alas, Marcy was probably Donald's only friend, period. "Ready to clock out, Donnie?" Marcy asked, elbowing him in the arm. "We can stop by KFC for a bucket and then head to my place to watch the game." Donald rubbed his arm and considered. He hated the game, regardless of the sport that was being played, but he did find Kentucky Fried Chicken quite tasty. "Certainly," he said, "I will clock out and gather my coat and hat." Later, as Donald and Marcy arrived at Marcy's house, Marcy reached around to the back seat floor of Donald's car to retrieve her purse. Her hand grasped something cool and metallic. She brought it around in front of her and realized that she had found a diamond bracelet. "Give me that," Donald snapped as he grabbed the bracelet from Marcy's hand. "Where'd you get that?" Marcy asked. "You have a girl in here?" Donald held the bracelet close to him. "No," he said, "this is Mother's. I must return it to her when I next see her." Marcy shrugged as she grabbed the bags to take out. Clumps of pink fuzzy lint clung to the bottom of one of the bags. "Looks like a unicorn done threw up in here, Donnie. You gotta vacuum out your vehicle." Donald said nothing as he exited the car. He sighed and shook his head. He was getting sloppy. First the bracelet and then the pink lint. Both had been leftovers from his latest victim, Mrs. Oleander down the street. Her purple velvet chapeau now graced a shelf in his basement, encased in glass and prominently on display. How he had coveted that hat, and now it belonged to him. Sally was going to be tricky, Donald mused. She hated hats, and so Donald assumed she must not own any, which bothered him greatly, as he would not be able to have a souvenir. But the simple reason of her hating hats was the very reason she must die. It was a paradox and would require some careful thought. Inside Marcy's house, they unpacked their KFC dinner and Marcy turned on the game. Donald couldn't care less what it was or who was playing. As he munched on his chicken and biscuits, he began to think, and he began to plan. As the plan formed in his head, he started to grin. "Yes, that's the ticket," he thought. "Don," Marcy elbowed him. "Hey, Donnie, you listening?" Donnie nodded, smiled, and tried to act like he was paying attention. "So like I said," Marcy, gesturing with a half-eaten chicken leg, "that was the day I loaned Morgan $400. "Morgan is lucky to have you for a friend," Donald said, not really knowing who Morgan was, and frankly not caring, but it was crucial to keep Marcy invested in their friendship. She would be instrumental to the next phase of his plan.
So we have to submit our manuscript to 916 Inc. to start laying out our book and publishing about 3-4 weeks before our class ends. So sometimes things are written after, and this was after the book, so it's not in the book. But it's my love letter to all of my kids. Where to find your voice. Look for it in the shadows that are willing to follow you. Find it in the sound of your grandmother's words when she teaches you how to make pie crust with just the right amount of butter. Search for it in the corner of the closet where dust bunnies are covering up bits of truth. Seek it in the sky, morning, noon, and night. Unearth your stories by digging, not with the pick and brush of a careful archaeologist, but like you mean it, with a sharp shovel and a strong arm. Get wind of your words by listening with both ears, opening wide both eyes, and letting your skin notice things like the burn of a sun ray or the ice that has landed from a cloud. Detect signals. Is the moon full? Are the leaves in the bottom of your teacup telling you something? Was the cat that crossed the road in front of you a good luck cat or a bad luck cat? Was that a twinkle in her eye? Why did the baby laugh? Stop. Take the time to notice. Don't forget to watch the sunset. Let your pen make rivers of words of all these things you have found while searching and the things that have been in you all along.